Lindie, I met you at the Outback Spiritual Festival, which was just the funnest time at
Oh,
Broken Hill. And that was actually the first time I'd ever even really known about audience readings or what that even is. But
wow.
you are a full-time psychic medium, mentor, teacher, celebrant, doing so much beautiful work in the world. And I really just wanted to get you on here to just have a beautiful discussion about your life, your work, and who you are, because I think you're amazing.
Oh, darling, thank you.
So we'll start with this. So obviously every healer and medium has a story about how they got to this moment in time. So can we hear a little bit about your story about how you got here?
Absolutely. I'll give you the short version. How about that?
Okay.
I don't think we have enough time. But pretty much I grew up in a religious household. My father was a minister, and I grew up with religion pretty much shoved down my throat.
Wow.
And at the same time, I was also having these really full-on spiritual experiences as a child, and stuff like things appearing, disappearing. I would see spirit, I would feel them. And I remember being told that that stuff was from the devil. And so that put the fear of God literally right up my skirt. And I was very scared of that horny beast, let me tell you. So I pretty much can remember a specific point where I actually locked myself and my ability a little bit older in my early 20s. I had more experiences. One particular one still made me shit my pants. That was a really frightening one, but it's only because I didn't know what it was. And when
Right.
we don't understand what something is, the human mind is conditioned to automatically go into fear. And so I had a very fearful experience, but now looking back, I know that it wasn't. Roll on to my early 30s, I had a reading with a lady over in Perth. She didn't know my name. She didn't know who I was. She didn't know anything about my family or anything. And she brought through my brother in spirit who had passed, I think, about 10 years before.
Wow.
And that blew my mind. And it really opened me up to everything. And suddenly, in that one instant, all the dots were connecting. And I was like, holy fuck balls, life after death is absolutely real. And I was like, whoa. I had so much joy in that moment going, oh my God, I'm not going to die. I can't die. So ever since then, I've been opening up to my abilities because I wanted to see if I could do what she was doing. And I just went nuts practicing on people, these spirit photos, practicing on their own photos. I was doing stuff like remote viewing without knowing that's what I was actually doing. And I remember a specific time I was tuning into this lady just over Hotmail Messenger. Remember those days?
Yep.
And I said to her, I feel like I'm looking down on you and I can see exactly where you are and what you. She goes, go on then, try me. I said, you're wearing a black and white top and you've got blue jeans on. I said, I can even see through your blue jeans and you're wearing black knickers. And she laughed at that. And I said, you got your hair coming in a bun. And I said, you're sitting in a passage in a desk coming out of the cupboard. And she confirmed all of that. And that was like years ago. And I was like, holy crap. I could absolutely see it all. And it wasn't just a clairvoyant vision. I was in her house. Like I was above
Mm.
her looking at her. And so that really made me go, wow. And so I ended up finding a teacher. His details randomly appeared on my favorites. I have no idea how they had landed there because at that stage I wasn't looking. I didn't look. It just landed there. I now know that's spirit magic, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And so I started training and developing my abilities. I was told a couple of times throughout that process and that training that I'd actually become known for what I do in this world. And it's actually starting to make sense now because I get recognized in the most random of places. And it's not that I want to be seen as a party horse or a wild horse or a whatever. I know that I'm here to spread my light and I'm here to share my journey because it's been a fucking interesting one. And I know that what I've needed to break through to reach these levels of my ability. And I know actually there's no other way. We can't do this work unless we're willing to work on our shit. So
100%.
when that became clear, I was like, oh, fuck, the amount of stuff I've got to go through and still, but now it's a lot easier. I'm accessing such deep layers at the moment, but I know that it's for the highest good, and it's not as uncomfortable as I thought it would be. There's sort of comfort in the discomfort. And I know you would understand that yourself because we get it, don't we, darling?
We get it.
Get it,
Yeah.
So that's really how I came into it. And I just came into it by chance. I had it from several sources well early, right in the first year in 2009, that said to me, I'm going to be a very, very strong teacher in this field. And I can see it and I can feel it with the way I work with my students and the way my path as a teacher is continuously evolving, same person as I was 3 weeks ago or a week ago, evolve, my students evolve, and I just share with them the path that I've traveled so that they don't have to travel it so difficultly as I have.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And it's like providing for people or nourishing people in the way that you weren't brings meaning to the work. And it means that we're all staying in it.
Yes.
It's both really dense and really rewarding. But when you see that connection point and you can actually help someone else through it, it just creates a lot of vibrancy and fun with it too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I get so much joy out of, witnessing these breakthroughs and recognizing where they're at, giving them the reassurance that I know exactly what they're going through. I know what it feels like. I know that this path isn't easy to travel, and especially the one of a psychic and medium, because there has been, certainly from what I've witnessed in the past, a lot of jealousy, copycatting, low vibrational level stuff, which sometimes I've partaken in because that was the place that I was looking at it from, but I see the bigger picture now, that if we're going to keep ourselves in that vibration of lack and competition and jealousy, that we're really detracting the light, and we're not magnifying that light. And so we've got to be magnifying that light, darlings. And that means joining together, collaborating, I've said this plenty of times, but one of my friends, who is also a very powerful medium, said to me, there's plenty of dead people to go around, and spirit don't have that much of a voice. They really don't. And when I read for clients now, in particular, I notice that there is a lot of randoms that come through that they know, but they might not have had a huge, strong connection with. And what I know now is happening is that these spirits see my light on. They want the opportunity to express themselves through a medium. It makes me emotional, actually. They want the opportunity to feel what it's like to talk through a medium. They don't all get the opportunity. And so when your loved one comes through in spirit, understand how much energy they use to do that, how much energy I use, and spirits communicate at all different rates and strengths, but when they come in strong for that healing, that has the power to change lives, and that's what really makes me eat humble pie.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. You've made some really beautiful points there. And I really love the honesty around that. If we compete and we still act like there's not enough to go around, we're really not serving the medicine or the light or the path in any way. There's more than enough people that need healing. There's more than enough spirits that need a voice. We need to support each other because the path is daunting and isolating and difficult at times. So healers helping healers is such a big conversation right now. And I think it's really, really important. And even you teaching your skills and your light is in honor of that. It's not like, oh, this is all for me and no one could possibly know my skill set. It's like, here, have it all. I want all of these spirits to have a voice. And that's so beautiful and so important.
Absolutely. You know, there was a very big lesson I had a number of years ago where I had a student, and I won't be mentioning names at all, but I had a student that totally ripped off my business model. She copied absolutely everything after training with me for a minimal amount of time, and then went on to call herself a teacher and a mentor, you know, and it ripped me up because I thought, how could you do that? Like, you haven't put in all those years and the blood and the sweat and the tears, and you've just taken everything I've created and you've put your mark on it. And I had to sit with myself as to whether I actually felt jealous or not. And I was sitting and I said, am I jealous? Am I? And I thought, no, I'm not. I'm just fucking pissed off, actually. You know, I'm
Sure.
having a human experience and I'm fucking pissed off that you've taken everything. But then spirit came in, as they do, with a beautiful perspective. And they reminded me and they said, you and her made this pact before you came to birth. And she was going to do this to you and you were going to take it on the chin. And they said, this is what was going to show you that you need to step it up, girl. You need to step it the fuck up and be seen and not be afraid to be seen. And so I realized that, you know, I was really struggling with organizational skills, procrastination, a bit of self-doubt thrown in there. And not long after that, you know, a couple of years perhaps, I got diagnosed with ADHD. So that joined all the dots and I started to understand. But going back just to that point, I realized that I needed to step up into service in a lot more power and a lot more strength. And she was showing me that that's what I needed to do, you know, but I took it the wrong way. I took it from a very human perspective, which I think, you know, is fair, because we do have to remember that we are sitting in this human realm, this 3D realm, and we're going to have those experiences, but we can learn from them, you know, and grow from them. And that's what I feel I've done. And so I've managed to shift the perspective from that, as, you know, to a perspective of power and positivity and awesomeness, rather than lack, you know, and feeling like I've been ripped off. You know, it felt like that at the time, but I was so glad that, you know, I was able to see from a different perspective, you know, and really grow from that experience.
Yeah, and well done. It's really not comfortable, but you know, someone once told me that anyone that mimics you or copies you, it's a massive compliment, but you know, there's enough creativity to go around. If you're always evolving what you do and in service, people can copy where you're up to now, but then you just level up again. So it can't be a threat to us. It's got to be a motivational part of what we do. And I love that soul contract piece too. It's like you needed her to get you into the next phase, which is so cool. I
It is
love that.
so cool, you know.
Yeah.
Really just shifted everything. And it really just helped to shift my feelings around how I felt about her and felt about myself, you know, when I was able to see it from that different perspective and really understand the dynamics at play.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Would you like to speak a bit more about how, like, the diagnosis of ADHD, you know, helped you to understand yourself a bit better and what that's done to your work?
Absolutely. My ex-girlfriend actually helped me to get diagnosed. She sort of dropped it into my awareness. And when I started researching it, I went, wow, yeah, it looks like I could be. And it it was funny how it came about, actually, because I'm quite ADHD. Like, when I look back on my life and when I think about things and all of that, I can see that I'm quite quite ADHD. And so what happened, and the reason I went down that path, is because I've always been afraid of medication. Now, I know that everybody has their perspective on medicines and certain medicines and all of that sort of thing. I always believe if it's going to help and make a difference in your life, doesn't matter what it is, as long as it resonates, it's helpful.
I agree.
So I was afraid of being medicated. You know, I was afraid of what it could do to my abilities. I had thoughts that perhaps it would dull them down, and I was really just starting to really come in, you know, to myself, but my connections were still strong, but a bit scatty and all over the show because of the ADHD. I would literally forget what I was saying as it came out my mouth and then struggle to get the last point. I mean, some might say that's channeling, you know, when you don't really remember, it's just coming boom, boom, boom. And I went to a audience reading in Horsham, and I had a workshop the following day, and I stayed with a friend of mine who is also on the spectrum, and she had another friend there. That one's on the spectrum, not that one. And anyway, and she said to me, would you like to try one of my ADHD tablets? And I went,
Oh,
maybe not before the spirit connections. I said, but I will give it a go before the workshop. And I did. And the spirit connections the night before, I remember them being really strong. But again, personally, I felt scattered and a bit all over the shop. And I even remember making references to being self-diagnosed with ADHD and blaming it on that, right? So the next morning she gives me one of these tablets, and I could feel it kick in, and it was just this feeling of levelness, so to speak.
wow.
I just felt, oh. And I had had a bottle of wine the night before with my friends, and I wasn't seedy or anything like that, you know, but anyway, I was a little bit tired when I woke up, took the tablet, went off to do the workshop, and delivered one of the best workshops of my life. It just pumped
Wow.
out of me. I had no trouble remembering what I was talking about. It all flowed. I was focused, motivated, concentrating, and I was like, holy fuck, I am so going to go and get a diagnosis. So I found a psychiatrist who I had to cough up $900
Wow.
to get diagnosed, which is fucking bullshit if you ask me. But and that's just so that you can get medicated, really.
Yeah.
But I know that there is natural options as well. So hear me out. And so I got diagnosed. He diagnosed me within 45 minutes.
Wow.
He fired off questions at me so fast that I didn't have time to think. And I had to answer him as truthfully as honestly. He would ask me for more detail around certain questions and answers that I'd given. And then he turned around, scribbled on his pad for about 5 minutes, and he turns around to me, might get emotional here, and he goes, yep, you've got ADHD. You've had it all your fucking life. He didn't say that. And I just like,
Wow.
holy crap.
Wow.
It blew me away, because there it was, you know, but given it a label, attention deficit blah, 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 disorder, whatever. Like, why is it a disorder?
Yeah, that's
Isn't
right.
it a superpower? Because I'm seeing it now
I think so.
as my superpower, you know. And a friend said this to me on the weekend. She goes, why are they calling it a disorder? You know, and I'm like, you're right. Actually, why? You know, but the most creative people I find are, you know, ADHD.
Yep.
I'm finding a lot of my students are on that path, you know, of being diagnosed or all of that. And it's a lot of women, you know, so I'm understanding now that women are the ones that have been misdiagnosed in childhood, that it was easier to see it in the boys, but not so much the girls. And I mean, credit to my mum, she always said that I was hyperactive. So I've got the combination of the
Yeah.
ADHD. It's not just one or the other, it's the both, which I
Mm-hmm.
forget on our typical ADHD response.
Hey, lovelies. If you're resonating with this content, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out, helps out the channel, helps us to make beautiful content for you all. Don't forget to comment down below too if you want to share your experiences, ask us a question, and send in some requests. We'd love to know what you want more videos about. Once again, thank you for watching, and we love you all so much.
And I know, but it is, you know, it helps me feel more me, you know, because I understand that my brain actually works differently. I process information differently to others. I've also had a diagnosis in the past of post-traumatic stress disorder. That never leaves us. That'll always be with me, but I can manage it, but sometimes in certain situations, there's a possibility that I can have a trauma response. I've grown up in South Africa. I could spend a whole hour talking about some of the trauma that I've experienced in that country and some of the trauma that I've actually witnessed. I've witnessed all sorts of things, from people dying right in front of me, to being very unsafe situations, where my safety has been threatened, where my family has been threatened. There's been so much trauma that I've been through, that I'm grateful that I've been through it, or that I understand it, at least. I get it because it gives me that level of depth in my connections with spirit and my connections with my students and my clients. Because if I can't put myself in their shoes, how can I bring through a compassionate connection,
Yeah.
But I've definitely softened a lot over the years. It's been such a wild journey. It's been such a wild journey. But the most beautiful thing is I'm becoming more me, than I've ever been in my life. I'm loving myself exactly who I am. I'm enjoying my own company. I'm single. I'm just loving life. I'm building, a new tribe of people that really understand the path and understand the journey. I can just be myself in front of them. And, my spirit work is such a huge part of my life that I find it quite hard to connect with people that aren't somewhat spiritual, if that makes
Sure.
sense.
Sure.
And it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that I can't relate to people, because I can relate to people from all walks of life. But, as far as your tribe goes, they're the ones that really get what makes you tick. They understand where you've come from, what your mission is, what you're here to do, and where you're going, and they're the ones that support each other and uplift and inspire, without judgment,
Sure.
and all of that. And I'm super grateful for the people I have around me now. I've just been to the Bohemian Summer Festival, where a bunch of psychics and mediums and healers, all camped together, and everybody that was there, we just felt so uplifted and so inspired, and we just felt incredible to be seen by each other. And all of the women, everybody that was there got their time to shine. It wasn't just me that got her face on the big stage. Everyone got their time to shine, and it was just incredible, to be there, to watch their joy, and to see that support, and that's where I want to be. That's the energy that I want to be in. I want to be where I feel celebrated and loved, and for all my quirks and flaws, not just tolerated. That's it. That's all we all want, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I wholeheartedly agree. And it's really the pursuit of, or the journey to find those spaces, which is so healing. And when we've come from such a contrasted background, which is like we didn't fit in, we weren't celebrated, we were squashed into a different mold, that we
Yes.
understand how important it is. And I'm curious, what would you say to someone else that is going down that journey, ADHD, PTSD, maybe they've come from a background where they didn't feel celebrated?
Yes.
What kind of advice would you give that person to get them to an experience that you are now experiencing, hopefully pretty regularly?
Yeah. I would strongly recommend working with a therapist who is
Yeah.
spiritually minded, because I have one who's been next fucking level, let me tell you. And she's been there for me over the last 3 years, and she supported me through a very messy breakup and some very deep layers of healing that came out of that. There were very traumatic realizations. And she's just been absolutely incredible, because she's professionally skilled as a mental health worker, social worker, but she also has incredible gifts with kinesiology and Reiki. And so it's this beautiful combination. And I've never been really hugely drawn to working with psychologists. I've tried it in the past, but how many times I've tried, it's just not for me. But not knocking it, you know, because it might work for others. But I just knew for me it wasn't. And so when I found this lady, wowzers, and then it was almost like I had her in place and for the big breakup, and also the layer of healing that I was accessing around the same time. And because she literally was like administering spiritual first aid on me. You know, it's incredible. Like, it is incredible to witness the other side of that, you know, the you know, the how the energy work affects, because I can see the results at the time when I do readings or all of that, but it's not until after, sometimes, when people come up to me and say, you've literally changed my life. You have no idea how much you've helped me, you know, and that you'll just never know. Like, you know,
Totally.
I'll never be able to fully appreciate how much I've managed to help somebody. And that's come from my own grief and my own trauma, you know, that I've been able to access those layers. And so saying to somebody that's on a similar path, you know, it's working with somebody that you trust.
Yeah.
And surrounding yourself with like-minded souls, you know, because when you start to understand your journey, there's going to be those around you that don't fucking get it.
Sure.
You know, you're going
Plenty.
to try to keep them in, or they might just vibrate out of your life. And if they want to vibrate out, that's okay. Let them go, even if it's painful. You will see that it will be for the best, you know, because your vibration might not be able to get higher with these certain energies around, so to speak, just as an example, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would say to people as well. Now, I know that there is, was talking about medication, but I know there is natural roots as well, and there's so many different things people can try. And one day I will, you know, go down that natural route. But at the moment, everything is just so busy and my life is so full, I actually don't have the time to even explore that. You know, that's real for me at the moment. But I find it sort of a little bit like a band-aid. It's just a sort of temporary fix for me at the moment, but it's really helping me. It's helping me to get all my ducks in a row. You know, I feel great. I feel focused, and it's working for me, you know.
Yeah, 100%. I'm definitely pro medication when it gives people a rest away from, you know, those traumatic responses. They can have that deep rest. They can get everything sorted, because the natural route takes dedication, time, energy, money, education, the right
Yes,
practitioners with you.
absolutely.
That instability that comes in the beginning until you level out. I think everyone just needs to go about their journey in that way. And if there's tools available, why
Yes.
not? It's not perfect. Could you explain a little bit about, to the people that wouldn't know, what a audience reading is, what that actually involves?
Yeah, no worries. So, in old school times, you know, I did a lot of spiritualist training in early years of my journey, and they would call these audience readings mediumship demonstration. But if you heard mediumship demonstration, you'd be like, not quite sure what that is really, you know, if you're just a lay person. Audience readings kind of gives a little bit more of a hint that it's an audience and it's readings of some sort. Maybe I
Yeah.
should call audience spirit readings.
Oh, that's nice.
That's quite nice, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Thank you for that little brain zap that happened between us there.
Beautiful.
That's called brainstorming, darling. So audience readings is literally when I have a bunch of people sitting in front of me. I'm on stage. I'm explaining to them how I work, and then I will get a connection from the spirit world, some of their loved ones from the spirit world that will pop in. I will get evidence, pieces of evidence that prove that I've got their loved ones, detailed evidence that blows people's minds. And then once I've identified that spirit, usually there's beautiful messages of love and recognition that come, because they will often see what their loved ones are doing currently and might have, you know, a word to say about what they might be going through, or any changes or study or home or work life. There's a lot of evidential stuff. But what I'm also feeling is, you know, because I've been able to get to these deep layers of my own shit and my own trauma, that I have that ability to go so deep now with those messages, and people can feel it. You know, I was in Mornington on Saturday and Sunday, this weekend just gone, and I did audience readings in a little theatre for the first time, which was really gorgeous. And all these beautiful women were just so relaxed and open, and I nailed it with so many beautiful readings. But the last one, oh my God, that set everybody off, and everyone was crying. It felt like I could hear a lady down to my left, you know, sniffing and trying to find tissues in her bag, and I could hear somebody else having a sniff, you know. But it was really deep and beautiful and meaningful, you know, with what was come through. And so it wasn't just the lady that was touched by the reading, but everybody was touched, you know, in the audience. And it's such a privilege and a huge fucking honor to be able to do this work, you know. It really is. But I'm really confident in what I do now. You know, I am really confident, but there is so much more room for growth and development. You know, I'm still developing. I'll never stop developing my abilities. You know, I'm learning all the time new bits of information or perceiving new ways. And it varies from audience reading to audience reading. So it's interesting, the difference here, because the next day I did readings at a mind and magic market, which I help out these gorgeous ladies. And I found that I went really well, but it felt different to the day before. And I put it down to the fact that people weren't as relaxed because they hadn't come from a festival kind of thing. They weren't in that festival vibe. And there was a real wide range of ages, and some had never, ever seen a medium work, had no idea, you know, about mediumship. And so it took a little while to actually place some of the there, you know, but when we got there, and it was wonderful, you know. So it is an absolute real privilege. But I'm okay with those times where it doesn't feel like the time the day before. Do you know what I mean? Because it's different, and I just go with the flow with whatever comes up. Yeah, I've had some incredible opportunities, you know, doing audience readings. I've read for some massive audiences, man. Like one of the biggest was almost 1,000 at the beautiful exhibition buildings in Melbourne. And that was a couple of years before COVID with, Soul Star Festival, I think. And that was my first time in front of such a big audience. And I don't know if you know Katie Underwood. She was part of Bardo. She does lots of beautiful sound healing. She's getting back into pop music anyway, digressing, coming back. And she was on after me, and Charlie Goldsmith, this huge healing name, was on before me. And I was like, wowzers, here at me is like the little meat in the sandwich. And I had a beautiful little support crew there, and I nailed it as well, you know. And I just thought, wowzers, I kind of like this, you know. I like working with that energy of that big crowd. And then I've gone on to do it again, like with Seven Sisters. You know, we get around 300 to 500 women shoved into a big tent or whatever. And that's incredible to work with there, because those chicks are super open by the time they do that audience reading that night. And they just like, yeah, let's go, you know. And the last time I couldn't even see the back of the room. People were like sitting in the middle of the passage. There was no room. People were sitting on blankets outside, you know. It's just ridiculous, really, and really hot. And for the whole time I had half my stomach hanging out. I didn't realize that one of my buttons had popped, and so they were copping the whole lot, you know. But it was so much fun. Like, it's such an incredible experience. And then I get a real big kick out of doing the workshops too. And I do large workshops as well. And I've never had training for doing the large workshops, but they've just sort of evolved as I've got on, because Seven Sisters was like, yep, run a workshop. And I had no clue how many would turn up. On the first workshop, I had 250 women in my flat. I'm like, fucking hell, how the fuck am I going to manage this? You know, excuse my language. But I was like, woo, dooly. But I
Mhm.
love it.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
and that's sometimes how it happens, isn't it? You just say
yes,
yes to the opportunities, you say, Spirit, if you want me there, I'll do it. And then the message just has to reach people. So it
yes,
can tell us about how many people are eager to contact the spirit world and they just need someone to be that bridge. But
yes,
then they're excited to go towards it. It feels safe and comfortable for them. They start to go on their own healing journey. And that's
yes.
what we're really navigating through at this time because
Mm,
we've all got trauma to work through. We've all had
right.
situations where the system has let us down and we're trying to find that freedom and that connection. And however we get there is just faith, trust, and surrender all the time. I find it's
Absolutely.
just do the workshop, see what happens, go to
Yes,
the next place, see what happens. And here we are. So I
absolutely.
really, really appreciate your honesty and your vulnerability and sharing your story. And I know you're going to inspire so many people that listen to this conversation, whenever that may be. And I'm so happy that I met you. And I really hope we get the opportunity to be at a festival again together
Absolutely.
soon.
Oh, that would be amazing, darling. It
Yeah.
really would.
Yeah,
Mm.
awesome. But thank you, Lindie. And I'll be in touch. And
Thank
I can't
you.
wait for our next hug. And enjoy Esoteric Festival. So,
Thank you
um,
so much. Yes.
very, very quickly, if people going to Esoteric or one of the festivals that you're at, what can they expect? An
So,
audience reading or
look, when I'm, especially with esoteric, it's just a workshop.
workshop?
So it is aimed mainly at people really just starting out or people who might want to learn a few different techniques or just test themselves to see what they're capable of. So it's not really aimed people who are working in the industry, but they're welcome, because I get people up to do a bit of coaching. Like it's very organic with how I
Nice.
work. I very much feel into the energy of the group. And here's a little secret: I don't actually prepare anything for the
Neither
work.
do I.
I just let it fucking pop right in, darling. And I read the
Yeah.
energy of the group and I know exactly what I need to do and what people need. And people have had a lot out of it. And so, yeah, it is a workshop. So I get people pairing up. I might get some people up in front. I might do a massive group connection where I get everybody to tune into a name of somebody in spirit. And there's all sorts of things. But every now and then I will actually do just a couple of spirit connections while I'm there, just to demonstrate what I can do, because sometimes people that come to the workshop can't necessarily ever make it to a spirit connection.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. And so I like to just challenge myself too at times, because sometimes people will say, can't you just do a quick spirit connection? And I go, okay, then. And I just
Sure.
trust that spirit's going to pop in, and they do. And there we are, and it's an absolute joy to be able to share that. I share
Mm,
a lot of myself in this work. And I just get so much joy out of doing it.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so wonderful to hear. I hope I can jump into a workshop at some stage, but I'll definitely let people know, particularly if they're listening to this and they feel like they might have some psychic abilities or mediumship qualities, or maybe it's just spirits used to visit me at night when I was a child. It's usually an indication that there's mediumship in there
Yes.
somewhere. I will certainly be sending them your way. And
Beautiful.
thank you for your time and energy. Thank you for your work and your medicine. I
Thank you
really
so much.
appreciate it. And much love, sister. All the best
Thank you,
for
beautiful
Esoteric.
soul. And thank you so much for having me. I just love your beautiful vibe and the magic that you bring to our world.
Thank you, Lindie.
Thank you,
Awesome.
precious. Talk soon.
Bye.
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 Hey, lovelies. If you're resonating with this content, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out, helps out the channel, helps us to make beautiful content for you all. Don't forget to comment down below too if you want to share your experiences, ask us a question, and send in some requests. We'd love to know what you want more videos about. Once again, thank you for watching, and we love you all so much.